Hello, Stephan here with Liquidity with a video about the German verb finden and its many different forms and related words. Liquidity. The German verb finden and the English verb to find obviously are related to each other. They're cognates. They basically mean the same thing. But the German verb finden has slightly more metaphorical meanings, more figurative meanings, and also there are more extension meanings simply by virtue of the fact that there are tons of prefix verbs that include the verb finden. In the present tense, finden conjugates very straightforwardly. It's simply ich finde, du findest, er sie es findet, wir finden, ihr findet, and sie finden, they find. In the past tense, in the Präteritum, that's just the German word for a simple past tense, it's a little bit of a different story. Finden is actually a strong verb, which simply just means that the vowel shifts in the past tense. And actually, if you look at the English verb, it's very similar to that, right? It would be I find, but I found in the past. Yesterday, I found my keys. So same thing in German. In German, it would be ich fand, du fandest, or du fandst, er sie es fand, wir fanden, ihr fandet, sie fanden. The past participle of finden is gefunden, so it's not hard at all to create the German version of a present perfect or past perfect. Ich habe gefunden, ich hatte gefunden, and so forth. Both English and German, finden, to find, means to encounter something, to locate something, right? Something that you're looking for. And it can also mean to assess something, right? How do you find something? Do you find the weather agreeable, for instance, in English, right? And in German, that sense is used much, much more commonly. So very commonly, you will hear people say things like, wie findest du fill in the blank anything? Wie findest du Mickey Mouse, for instance, right? Or you could say, wie findest du das Wetter? Wie findest du das Brot? How do you feel about that? So finden in German is more often than not used in a very analytical way. And Germans actually tend to be very analytical people, not the only super and over analytical people in Europe. I think the Danes might be actually more so. I've met some Danes who are very analytical people and nice people, great people, but a little much sometimes. Anyway, so finden is a way to assess something, to evaluate something. How do you find it? How do you feel about it, right? So you can already see that the German verb finden has a certain emotional dimension that is sort of missing with the English one, that sort of exists but is not nearly as elaborate, not nearly as deep, I would say. Here's my first separable prefix verb with finden, herausfinden, or colloquially you will often hear people just simply say rausfinden. The HE is just dropped. So herausfinden or rausfinden means to find out. So you could say, ich finde es heraus. I'm finding it out, literally. The next one is a little bit more complex because it is both a separable prefix verb as well as a reflexive verb. Sich zurechtfinden. Zurecht has the word recht in it. Right means correct. The correct way, in an appropriate way, sort of. So sich zurechtfinden means to find your way around, or to figure out where to go, or to figure out how to do something even. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're physically lost somewhere, but it could also mean that you're not really sure at first where to go, what to do. You have to first figure out how to put together a machine, for instance, or a kit or something, or how to build something, right? So, sich zurechtfinden means you figured out how to do something. Ich finde mich zurecht. For instance, I know my way around. The next prefix verb is not a separable prefix verb, so the and erfinden always stays on the verb. This simply means to invent, to come up with something. Erfinden means to find something basically in your brain, to come up with a new idea for something. And the inventor, the person who invents something, in the masculine would be der Erfinder, in the feminine would be die Erfinderin. The next one is reflexive, sich befinden. And befinden is not a separable prefix verb. This simply means to be somewhere, to be located somewhere, in the sense of there is, there are, in that sense. So, for instance, you could say, ich befinde mich im Haus. I am in the house. Or you could say, der Löwe befindet sich im Zoo. The lion is located or is in the zoo. The past participle for befinden is befunden. So there's not a gefunden or gebefunden, it's just befunden. The noun version of sich befinden is der Befund. Der Befund is basically a finding. So it could be the result of a study, a result of some research. It could be a clinical study, for instance. It could be even evidence that could be used to point out something or for further research. It could also simply be a report. The next one is much more emotional in its meaning and its use. And there are actually two that are closely related. So there's empfinden and nachempfinden. Empfinden means to simply feel. How do you feel something? How do you emotionally assess something? And nachempfinden means to empathize, to feel something that other people are feeling, or to put yourself in the shoes of other people. And the only thing that's separable here is the nach. So you could, for instance, say, ich empfinde dir nach. I can put myself in your shoes. I can feel the way you feel, or I think I can feel the way you feel. I can kind of emotionally follow your footsteps, put myself in your shoes. Unfinden simply means to encounter something, to find something that is at a certain place. So you're going somewhere and then you find something there at that place. So for instance, you could say, wir fanden Markus in Frankfurt an. We met Markus in Frankfurt. We happened to see him there, or we met him there, hoping we would see him there, depending on the circumstances. So, there's a little bit of wiggle room here. Vorfinden is very similar to unfinden. It means to encounter something, to locate something, to run into something, maybe even. The next one, upfinden, has actually two quite dissimilar meanings. So first is upfinden in the sense of financially compensating somebody, especially for some kind of loss. So for instance, an insurance company would issue what in German we would call Upfindung. That would be the noun version of that. Or maybe their reparations paid for something. Maybe a court decides that somebody has to pay some kind of reparations to somebody else. The next one is used always reflexively and usually with mit, so with, and sort of kind of like in English, because it simply means to put up with something or to have come to terms with something that's less than ideal, and you've just come to terms with that's just how it is. That's just how this person is, and you just have to learn how to work with that person, how to be around that person. You just have to deal with it, basically. And both of those are separable prefix verbs. Das Findelkind, that is a foundling. That is a child who was abandoned and somebody found that child. Das Findelkind. Here's an adjective, fundig. And that one is a little bit old-fashioned. Actually, it's a pretty old word. And this is actually originally miner jargon. So people who worked in the mountains, in deep shafts in the mountains, looking for precious metals or other kinds of resources, whatever they were looking for, whatever they were mining for, maybe salt, right? Very successful in having found that thing that you're looking for, or found something that is of value. So that would be fündig. And last but not least, a figure of speech, very common in German, maybe a little bit old-fashioned. I don't know how many young people use it, but it doesn't matter. Ein blindes Huhn findet auch mal ein Korn. Even a blind chicken sometimes finds a kernel or corn or, something to eat. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. Check out my other videos, see if there's something else that you like. If you do, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Bye. Tschüss.